Hello everyone, this is Jeff from the Systems Lab. Now today we're asking a simple question. Which performs better, Spot Bitcoin, as in BTC USD, the direct cryptocurrency, or GBTC, the Spot Bitcoin ETF, or one of the other equivalents that are available these days? Now, if we look on the chart here, just to get you familiar with my setup, the way that we're going to do this is through the lens of the PRX system. It's a simple way for us to run a system on top of both of these markets and see which one performs best. But we want to make sure that they're set up the same. So just so that you guys are familiar with what we're looking at here, on the left-hand side, I've got GBTC. On the right-hand side, I've got BTC USD. We're looking at daily data. And we're looking at Bitstamp data for BTC USD because the quality is pretty high and it's got a lot of history. And on GBTC, we're using GBTC as opposed to something like IBIT, which has more liquidity these days, because GBTC also has a lot of history from its days before it was converted from an over-the-counter instrument into an ETF. So that history sort of came with it. So we're looking at both of these and we're using PRX. We are set up for $100,000 account size and $1,000 risk per trade. So 1%, but it's a fixed $1,000 risk per trade. We're also looking at 1x leverage, so no leverage, basically. So these are both kind of set up the same in that regard. Now, looking at what we have on chart here, this is through TradingView, and this backtest report comes up straight away when we start looking at this. And you can see that this actually looks pretty good, right? I mean, there's 173R here, which in percentage terms is, of course, 173%. The max drawdown was only about 6R, we'll call that, which is even lower in percentage terms. 41% win rate and profit factor of almost 5. So pretty nice looking system. When we go over to look at GBTC, I'm going to click in and then we'll see the system update here with the backtesting report. So here's GBTC. This doesn't look as good. So we've got 63R and we've got a slightly lower drawdown, which is nice. So 4.5R, a little bit lower in percentage terms, slightly higher profit win rate, and similar sort of profit factor, 4.4. So that's good, but this is lower. So that seems like it's worse. And so here's the trick, right? We got to make sure we're comparing apples with apples. And one of the common things for any platform, but TradingView is one of them, is potentially a separate or a different look back period. So here you can see we're looking from May the 4th, ooh, Star Wars Day, 2015, through until today, which is the 14th of August, 2025. So almost about 10 years, right? And if I click on the BTC USD again, you'll see that it actually goes back a few more years, back to 2011. So there's a few extra years on that. And the reason why that kind of matters is we had some whales of trades in here. So PRX is designed to capture these big trending moves, and it had some of those back here and also here, but they just sort of pale in comparison to the size of some of these. So one thing that we can do is make sure we're going to measure apples with apples. Now you can do that in TradingView through this new feature where you can kind of custom configure the range in the chart. But we built it into PRX so that even though we've got all the data, we're just going to filter it down by date range. And I'm going to use 2016 because it's the point where we have enough data loaded in the system where GBTC would actually start to take trades. And so that kind of just matches the two up together. So now we say, ooh, okay, well, maybe this doesn't look as favorable for BTC USD. It's still pretty damn good as far as performance goes. 55R, same sort of drawdown at, we'll call that 6. Actually smaller in terms of percentage. Yeah, win rate stays about the same. Profit factor drops off a bit because of the whale that isn't in the back test anymore. But that's okay because it's also fairly realistic and it's comparable to GBTC. So when we look at the two here, you might now think, oh, actually, well, maybe GBTC is looking a bit better. Now, here's one other measure that I like to look at as well. So an easy read on expectancy is if we go into the trade analysis here and just go down to this average P&L. So it's about a 0.67R. expectancy for BTC USD. If I look at GBTC, I just clicked in there and that updates here too, then it's almost double, right? So the expectancy is actually really quite high. And the overall stats, regardless of sort of the measure that you look at, are pretty good. So there's basically less trades on GBTC. And one of the main reasons for that, of course, is that it doesn't trade on the weekend, but Spot Bitcoin does. So for example, here's the current trade that the BTC USD is in that set up and entered on the weekend. So this entered on Sunday. And then we just entered a similar trade on GBTC, but we didn't get that until yesterday, Wednesday. So sometimes we've looked at this in our community. Sometimes there's favorable um, results on one, and sometimes it's favorable on the other. So it all kind of washes out in the end. But I think what really kind of matters is we've always tended to use GBTC for the PRX swing system because of the results and because of the ease with which it's tradable. But really, it's kind of down to personal preference. So let's go back to the original question: which performs better? Well, what do you think? In my book, GBTC is actually looking like it's performing better, just with regards to the numbers. But it's also nice to have some of the added features of Bitcoin itself. So it kind of comes down to personal preference, but at least here we've hopefully sort of shown you how to normalize those sorts of things with that PRX lens, and then you can make a more informed decision for yourself. So hope that's helpful, guys. I'm Jeff from the Systems Lab, and we will catch you in the next one. Cheers.